Ladies and gentlemen, it's Hot Legs, straight from the Wine Exchange, with wine expert Kyle Meyer.
Pinot Noir lovers out there? I love Pinot Noir, and I know a lot of you do too. First thing you think of when you think Pinot Noir, is it New Zealand? Yeah, New Zealand. New Zealand friggin' Pinot Noir. It's for real. It's here, it's now, it's happening, and it's hot. Whole Hot Legs thing. Today we're going to focus on 3 brilliant Pinot Noirs that are coming from New Zealand, which is the latest hotbed for Pinot Noir. You know, we had the whole Santa Rita Hills thing going on the Central Coast. Of course, we had the Russian River Valley blow up back in the 70s and 80s. You all know the Burgundy thing. Oregon, Oregon in the 90s, everyone was heading towards there and starting to make world-class Pinot Noir. Well, now it's New Zealand. And today we're going to look at 3 completely wonderful New Zealand Pinot Noirs that capture the essence of Pinot Noir in the bottle and in the glass. There's a couple distinct growing areas for Pinot Noir in New Zealand. And as you may or may not know, New Zealand is 2 islands. There's a North Island, there's a South Island. Now, a lot of the top Pinot Noir is grown on the South Island because it tends to be the same latitude, for the most part, as many of the other famous Pinot Noir vineyards in the world. It wasn't by accident. These folks did their research and determined that a couple of the regions we're looking at today are quite close to Burgundy, both in temperature, climate, and then the soil types, of course, are quite similar as well. So let's get on with the wines. And we'll talk about the regions a little bit as we go wine by wine. The first wine we're going to show is the Stateland Pinot Noir. This is a 2005 Pinot Noir from the region of Marlborough, which is located on the north part of the South Island. Now here, Pinot Noir has been growing for about 25, 30 years, I guess, max. And it's only been recently, I think, in the last 4 or 5 years, there's been more than 1 or 2 producers to carry the flag for the area. Stateland is a relatively new producer. They began their venture late 90s. A couple Dutch folks founded it, thus the name Stateland, named after the original name for New Zealand given to the country by Abel Tasman in 1642 when he first discovered New Zealand, or so the Dutch say. Let's check out the wine. These are all 100% Pinot Noir, and they're done in what we would call the enlightened kind of new school Burgundian style. The key here is they don't want to make big syrupy Pinot Noirs. You know, New Zealand's kind of cool, right? I mean, it's green, it's lush, it's not 100 degrees, there's no deserts. It's a perfect place for growing Pinot Noir, which really likes the cool days and the cool nights to help maintain the acidity and keep a nice long growing season. Because Pinot Noir is a real finicky grape to grow, and it doesn't like getting too hot or too cold. You know, it's kind of a pain in the butt grape to grow, honestly. But these guys are gluttons for punishment. These are young vines. They planted these in the late 90s, so we're looking at vines that are 5, 6 years old. And already, this wine's showing tremendous complexity. You get real Pinot Noir character, kind of like a cross between, a lot of these wines are going to taste kind of like a cross between Burgundy / Oregon / North Coast. These don't have a Central Coast vibe to me as much. These are more North Coasty, Russian River Valley, Sonoma Coast style. But here you get all those cherries, that signature Pinot Noir, red cherry and spice, and there's a little stoniness underneath, but not much. A little leafy note that you might get out of some of the Burgundy wines that brings the whole French thing into focus. This wine really lit us up. This is the first vintage of this wine we've ever tasted. And frankly, we wouldn't have heard too much about it except, honestly, I caught a score from the Spectator, and the sales rep came in and said, hey, you want to try this? We were like, okay, sure. And we were like, whoa. And so we basically tried to buy everything they had. So to me, it's one of the most exciting Pinot Noir discoveries, as is all 3 of these wines that we've seen in the past year. Bright, tangy, good acids, but the wine still maintains really fresh fruit, doesn't get ponderous or syrupy. I mean, classic Pinot Noir. Yum, that's even tasting better today. The next one is Quartz Reef. Now, with Quartz Reef, we're heading a bit down south, heading further south in the South Island to an area called Central Otago. And Central Otago was an area pioneered by, actually one of the pioneers was the next wine we're going to taste, but was pioneered kind of, there were some people there in the 70s, but it wasn't until, once again, the late 80s, early 90s that Pinot Noir as a culture really started emerging there. The deal with Central Otago is it really is, like, I think it's 45 degrees, almost that same exact latitude as Burgundy or the Willamette Valley in Oregon. So this is where supposedly the truer Burgundian styles are going to emerge. Quartz Reef, another new producer. I mean, how many old producers are there here? They've only been doing it really in this kind of style for 10, 15 years. So there's another cat that has, you know, 6-year-old vines, 7-year-old vines, but all the right clones, you know, doing everything right in the winery. None of these wines see 100% new oak. What they learned down there is, you know, that kind of like that 25 to 60%, depending upon the wine, works because they don't want the wine being too oaky. These guys are good. Rudy Bauer, an Austrian, makes the wine here. There's a lot of Austrian and German and Dutch expats coming down to New Zealand to produce Pinot Noir. It's kind of weird. A lot of the top wineries are run by great Central European winemakers. This comes from Bendigo, which is a sub-appellation of Central Otago that's a bit more to the north of the area. So the wines are a touch leaner than what we're going to see from the next wine. More leafy, more true Burgundian, if you will. Once again, liquid cherry, plums. There's a little more minerality to this wine than there is to the State Lant wine, maybe because of that more Burgundian terroir, that cooler climate. This tends to have a little more of that central Burgundy kind of Nuit Saint George type vibe to a little mineral underpinning that I really dig. It gives the wine great structure, and the tannins are perfectly balanced. I can see this wine aging a decade. I'm really smart. That's good too. And yeah, Stelvin. I love it. Now we're going to go to who I think is one of the granddaddies of them all. This is the Felton Road 2006 Pinot Noir from Central Otago. And Felton Road was kind of tweeners. Like I said, there were some people in Central Otago before Felton Road, but Felton Road to me was the first winery that really stepped up and said, bam, we're going to do it world class. This is straight up, we're going to make fabulous wine. One of the earlier Felton Roads I got to taste was one from the mid-90s, 96, 97 if memory serves. Wine completely blew me away. I had no idea, you know, New Zealand was making wine like this. And that wine really set the tone, and from there we've been aggressively looking for great New Zealand Pinot Noir producers since. As was the previous two, these guys follow the Burgundian model. They're looking in the Bannockburn sub-area of Central Otago, which Bannockburn tends to be a touch warmer than Bendigo. So you get the riper, rounder, warmer flavors in the wine. Actually, you get more plum characters coming in, a little more black cherry, but that's not a bad thing because that just, to me, tastes like really ripe, yummy Burgundy. Isn't that what it's about? I'm not a glutton for punishment, you know, with those lean, kind of leafy, high acid, you know, enamel ripping styles of Burgundy. I like a little pleasure in my wine. And these guys have it. Same type of the all French oak. Vines are slightly older here. The earliest ones planted 91, if memory serves. They have a wunderkind winemaker by the name of Blair Walters working down there. He's really good. I mean, if this guy was working in the States, he would be mailing list only. Not that these aren't mailing list only. By the way, I think all these wines are almost available exclusively via mailing list in New Zealand. These are very desirable, in-demand wines down there. Deeper, richer, like I said earlier, more black cherry plum thing coming into play. This is an 06, also an excellent year. But a very French mid-palate. I mean, this wine really has me thinking, you know, Côte de Nuit. In a blind tasting, I'd be hard-pressed to pick this one out as a New Zealand Pinot Noir. This would, to me, would definitely skew French, which I think is what they want. Sure could use a plate of duck right now. So here you have it. 3 of the top Pinot Noirs produced in New Zealand. Small production, great wineries. 2 of them with the super groovy stove enclosure, so you get no stinkers whatsoever. Something we're unfortunately all too familiar with here. And all priced, these are all priced in the high 20s to mid 30s. So they're not cheap, but vis-a-vis what you get for Premier Cru, Red Burgundy, in that $60, $70, $80 range, or those mailing list only Pinot Noirs from the North Coast, these wines are a pretty good deal. I'd say half the price of comparable wines. Cheers.